Hey, we're live. We're live. My name is Jeff with eBay Addicts, and today my guest is Resale Heroes, all the way from Canada. How goes it today, man?
Goes well. It's well. It's a hot day.
It's a hot day. I don't know. I haven't been out much today. I've been out and did some shipping today, and went out and did some sourcing, and now it's time for a live stream. So go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and tell them what you do.
All right. Well, we're Resale Heroes. Basically, we have a pretty big eBay store. We started a year ago with just 3,000 in inventory, and now we're up to about, I think as of today, it's 152,000 of listed value. There's three of us, so two of us are doing it full time. We have one part-time employee, and the work never stops. We were talking about it just before we went live. There's always something to do. But we specialize in video games and collectibles, action figures, cards. But our bread and butter is basically video games and video game consoles. And as of right now, we sell exclusively on eBay.
Okay, now tell our audience how many items you currently have active listed on your store. Because on our check last, it was like over 11,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have over 11,000 active listings. So now, so we use a model where even if we're out of stock of something, we leave the listing up so people can still see it and they can still watch it. And then when we get the thing in stock again, they can just buy it. So there are some in that 11,000 that are out of stock, but I mean, I think we have over 9,000 in stock, but we have a lot. We have a lot of stuff.
Okay, cool. And you're from Canada. What part of Canada are you from again? I don't recall. It's a small city, right?
Yeah, so we're from Eastern Canada, Atlantic Canada. It's just north of Maine. It's called New Brunswick. So it's a very small place. There's 750,000 people in the whole province, and there's 140,000 people in my area.
Okay, now tell our audience, you had the other day, I think it was Monday, did you have like 80 items that you had to ship out? Was that for one day or was that for the whole weekend? Was that like
That was
Friday,
for the
Saturday,
whole.
Sunday, and you had to ship out on Monday? Tell us a story.
Yeah. So that's a reoccurring thing for us. So basically, our shipping days. So we don't ship quite every day, but we have full-on shipping days on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. So for Monday, we use the post office, and the post office here is closed on weekends. So our Monday sales. So this Monday we had like 84 orders, and that's for basically everything from Friday that we didn't get to, or that basically sold after we were finished our shipping run, and then Saturday and Sunday and Monday morning. So it's like a 3 day, So we average about 30, so about 32, 33 items a day that we sell.
Uh-huh.
Like they're
Well,
not all big items. We've got like $5, $10 items, but we do have some pretty big items as well.
yeah, so when you went and did your shipping on Monday, it was like how much was the dollar value of all the merchandise you shipped out on Monday? It was over 2,000, wasn't it?
It was, hold on. It was about 2,000. Yeah, I have it written down someplace. I think I have it written down someplace. Anyway, yeah, it was about 2,000.
Okay, cool. So, somebody wanted me to ask you, where is it that you go sourcing to get your merchandise, to get your inventory from? Because if you have a larger store, if you guys only have 300 or 500 items in your eBay store, going from a 500 to 1,000 store to get to the point where you're crossing 5 and 10,000 plus items in your eBay store, it's not only is it time consuming, but there's a whole lot more that goes into it because you have to kind of keep your inventory organized when you're pulling items. You're constantly shipping. It's like you can either have a smaller eBay store where you're selling higher ticket items, or what we are doing is having a larger eBay store where maybe every item that you sell isn't a $50 or $100 home run item, but we're just selling a larger quantity of merchandise. So it's a total different ball game. So talk to me a little bit about where it is that you go sourcing. How do you come across your inventory, and what would you say like your cost of goods is versus sales? I mean, do you get the stuff maybe 10 cents on the dollar? Talk to us. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, so let's get into it. Let's go.
Yeah, so you make a couple interesting points that I want to touch there. So about scaling, okay? So there's like 5 questions in there, but first I'll start with scaling. So most sellers on eBay are very small. So most sellers have 100 listings, 500 listings. And I mean, because most people do it part-time or like a hobby, right? It's just to make a little bit of extra income. I mean, a long time ago, like 6 years ago, I had a small store and I had a full-time job that I was doing at the same time, but I was working for a nonprofit and I wasn't making enough money, I guess. So I had the eBay store to, generate some extra pocket money. And I totally understand that. But so you don't jump from 500 to 10,000. You have to, go incrementally. So you'll go from 500 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 2, and so on and so forth. But so every step of the way, and I mean, you mentioned you have several thousand items yourself. So every step of the way, you need to adapt your sourcing to match your sales. So we buy mostly on Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace. So basically just local classifieds. And the reason we do that is because we know exactly what we're getting. And in our part of Canada, so Canada is renowned worldwide for its winters. So, I mean, we have nice summers too, but in the winter, I mean, there's basically half of the year where there's no garage sales. Like you can't, and with COVID, I mean, there's a lot less of that stuff going on. So, and we live in a small area where it's not very well organized, the whole garage sales scene. So whereas in the States where you might have like 140, so we have 140,000 in my town or whatever, but for you guys, that's barely a village. Like you guys have so much population that you could drive down a street and hit 10 garage sales, but we don't have that here. So anyway, so we target so we can go through 100 ads and just choose one. We're like, oh, that one is the one we want. And that's something that I said on Buffalo Picker's stream as well, is that it's important to know when to pass and it's important to know when to go for it, because you want to deal with a certain kind of person. You want to deal with the person, you don't want to deal with the person who wants full price for all his stuff, because there's no money to be made there and there's no mutually beneficial situation that can happen if they're not willing to negotiate with you. So the best person to deal with is someone who basically is looking to get rid of their stuff to make room in their house. Because they want money for it, but they don't really care how much they get. And that's kind of the person. And after you've seen thousands of ads and thousands of listings, you can kind of tell just by looking at it who those people are, the way they take the pictures, the way they describe it, and just the way their ad is written. But so anyway, we source with local classifieds, but we've been doing this for a year now, and we've basically run into other local resellers, because even in a small place like this, there's a surprising amount of people that do the same thing as we do, just on a much smaller scale. And everybody sells something different. So we specialize in games, but there's some people that do shoes. There's some people that do hats. There's some people that do whatever. And we have run into people who will buy a collection, but they don't sell half of the stuff that's in the collection, but they have to buy the whole collection to get the price they want, and they'll sell us the rest of the stuff. So we have like 6 or 7 suppliers who semi-regularly, like maybe once a month or something, once every 2 months, will send us a message and be like, hey, you want 200 games? You want 300 games? Do you want this? Do you want that? And it's just all in one transaction. So now, going back to the other thing that you said, so now we sell about 30 items a day. So that means that for us to grow, we need to replace those 30 items plus dump another 20 in the store to have growth. Because if we just list another 30, we're just staying neutral, but we want to grow. So the more you sell, the more you need to source. So the more you need to source, the more efficient you need to be with your time. So when we were first starting out, we maybe would buy the $30 bundle or the $50 bundle, but now it's not as efficient on time. So we're looking more for the $150 bundle or the $200 bundle or the $1,000 collection where you can get 200 games all at once. And it's in one transaction, you can get as much done as if you had done 10 smaller transactions. Does that make sense? So, that's how our sourcing comes right now.
Right. And I heard you on another stream and you were talking about that you'll buy things that are bundles. Maybe somebody had a PS4 and they upgraded and got the PS5, or maybe they have an old PS3 laying around and it comes with 25, 30 games and extra controllers and some accessories. You'll buy the whole bundle and then make your money back when you sell the console. And then now you got a stack of 25, 30 games that you can sell off and make a little bit of profit. So have you done that lately or no?
I did that today. So that is the thing that we do. Those are the bundles that we look for. So we look for bundles that come with a lot of stuff, and we try to zero in. And a lot of those bundles are in a price range that we don't want. So we have to skip over 10 before we get to the one that we want. And we're like, okay, that one is a good one. And so today we picked up, it's about $1,000 of value, maybe $1,100 if I'm being a little generous. And it's a PlayStation 4 with a PlayStation virtual reality kit. So a PSVR headset with the controllers and the camera and the whatever, and a handful of games and one controller. So all that together is worth about $1,000, but just the PlayStation 4 is worth $400 because it's a PlayStation Pro. And it came with an accessory that's worth $100. So once we sell those two things, the whole bundle will be paid off so that anything else that we sell will be profits. Now, that was a good grab in the sense that in 10 transactions, we're going to be able to make like $500 or $600. But oftentimes we have maybe one console with like 30 games. So we'll make $5 to $10 a game. But it's like you said, it's more quantity as opposed to having big ticket items, but it's so abundant that you could do this anywhere. You like, it's available everywhere. You were mentioning that you were listing Blu-rays today. So I listed about 100 CDs today. I wanted to list more, but I just ran out of time. But it just blew my mind. So in my kitchen, in a corner of my kitchen, I have right now about 600 CDs or DVDs or whatever that are not listed. That's been there for like a month that I've been picking at it. In like a week, I was able to source like 1,200 of these. It just blew my mind. And and we would pay like 50 cents per. Like, right. So if we bought 100 DVDs, we would pay $50, and I'd buy them by the box. People would be getting rid of them. And I just bought like 20 boxes in 2 days. And I was like, okay, well, I need to stop. And a month later, I'm still listing them because, I mean, we have shinier stuff to list, but that's a pile of stuff that practically cost us nothing. And we're making maybe, I don't know, $4 or $5 a sale, which is it's not impressive when you look at the size of the sale. But if you look at how much we paid for it, it's mind blowing because we paid about 50 cents for it. So if we're able to make $4 or $5, that's a times 10. Like, yeah. It's awesome. And but the DVDs and the CDs, it is quantity. It is pure bulk. Although there's the occasional DVD, like we actually sold a DVD today for $30. Like in a collection, most of them are worth less than $10. Then you'll have a few of them that are like 15, and then you'll have one or two that's like 30. But you have to go through all of them to get to the ones that have real value. But that's something that would be easy for anyone to just, with $50 you could buy 100 DVDs. And I mean, in the States you could maybe get them for less than that. I don't know, whatever the going rate is. But we decided we used to pay $1, but we decided to stick with 50 cents and just, if anyone wants to charge $1, we're just going to pass, and we're just going to deal with the people that want to give us the price that we want. So it's important to know what's the price point, what's that magic number for you for what you're looking for. And you mentioned, you asked me what, I guess the profit margins are. So it really depends on what we buy. So usually for the big stuff, expensive video games do not have as much margin because it's more expensive. So this particular buy that we did today was pretty good. So we're going to double our money, which we usually aim to at least double. So if you can double 500 into 1,000, I mean, it's pretty sweet. And then you can use that extra 500 to buy 5 smaller bundles, and then you can triple, quadruple, whatever. But so across the board with all the lower profit margin stuff and the higher profit margin stuff, now our profit margins are somewhere between 40 and 45% on average all across the store, after all shipping costs, after all eBay fees, after paying after paying the employee, after all the costs, that's how much money we would have left over. So that means if I sell $1,000 worth of stuff today, at the end of the day, there's 400 to 450 that's going to go in my pocket, depending on the distribution of what's sold. Okay. And so you let me know if I'm talking too much, but I just have a lot to say.
Well, I understand. We're live. Let me say hello to the people in the audience that are here hanging out with us. Okay. I wanted to say hey to the Flippin' Sports guy is here. He says, afternoon, everybody. Don is here in the chat. He says, I sell my Blu-rays and DVDs in lots. Some new DVDs lots. Sold a lot of Blu-rays today. Free U.S. shipping. Yeah, I just listed about 60 plus Blu-rays today. They were new in the shrink wrap. I picked them up at the Dollar Tree. I wanted to say hey to the Philly Flipper. He says, hey, a Canadian version of me. That's me having me laughing because, yeah. So the truth is, I heard the other day on another live stream, you said you're one of the largest resellers there is in Canada. Is that true or false, or what's up with that? First, let me say hello to a few people in the chat. Flipping It Good is here in the chat. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well today. Jen is here, says, not just source, but list also. That's my problem. I wanted to say hey to Marcy in the chat. The Frugal Peanut Reseller is here. And Jen's Closet Gem says, happy Tuesday, Jeff and Resale Heroes. So thank you guys for hanging out with us today. If you have questions for our guests, drop it in the chat. So is this true that you guys started basically with $3,000 in cash, right? A year ago, you were at 0 items listed, and now you're one of the largest resellers that there is, in Canada is for your niche. Is that true? Or tell us the story of how this got started and how you guys got started into this resale game, because about a year ago you were working a regular 9-to-5 job. Now you're a full-time reseller. So tell us how this came to be.
Yeah. So I also just want to take a moment to just say hi to everybody. Thanks for dropping by. Make sure you subscribe to eBay Addicts if you're not subscribed already. He was nice enough to invite me onto his stream. He has streams like this every couple days. And I actually meant to get in touch with him, and I didn't get the chance, and I was just about to, and he contacted me anyway.
Well, he was too busy hanging out with Buffalo Picker and hanging out with Flip the World. He forgot all about me. Yeah, that's all right. But go ahead. Tell us a story about how you guys got into this.
Yeah, so it is true. And the thing is, when we talk about this stuff, I just want to make something clear that we're not trying to flex. We're not trying to brag. We're just trying to show what's possible in a short period of time. And it's not magic. It's just pure hard work. We just worked to get there. But so, yes, we started with 3,000. We're at 150,000 of value now. It really just was countless hours of sourcing, listing, research. And we know a lot of things. We like to master things, but there's still so much that we don't know, in the sense that that's part of the magic, And that's part of why we got so big, or that we know so many things, because we're always sponging information. We'll watch Daily Refinement. We will watch, for example, Harry Tornado. We'll watch all these other Hustlin' Hooks and just different channels that will give good information, and we'll just soak it all up. And I mean, not all the information is good for us, but the information that's good for us is going to take us to level 1, to level 2, and then to level 3, to level 4. And that's how you learn. You have to, I mean, you could just trudge on and do it all by yourself, but there's no, I mean, it's not as efficient as borrowing other people's experience. But so I forgot to ask. So Jeremy told me this morning. So there's 3 of us again. So there's basically two owners and one employee, and Jeremy's my partner in the business. And he told me this morning, and I forget the exact numbers, and I'm totally sorry because he's probably in the chat somewhere. But as of, I think, Sunday, we were in the top 120 eBay sellers in Canada. And I want to say in the top 1,800, but it might have been 18,000, either 1,800 or 18,000 worldwide. But you have to understand that eBay has over 7 million stores. So either way, we're in the top 0.1%, even within just a year of working. And I mean, we're not driving Lamborghinis and going on vacation every couple of days. Like, it's nothing like that. But it's just to show that, I mean, anything is achievable. And you were talking to me about your goals earlier. So we also have a goal to basically double our sales by the busy season. So, but yeah, so I was actually working. So I had a really good job. I loved my job. I was an insurance person. I worked with a great company, worked with a great team. I got paid really good money, but it's still a job. It's not the same as owning your own business. So Jeremy brought me on last summer. So he started in July, and I started helping him in August because it was already at a point where, I mean, the growth was just phenomenal. And by March, I had a choice to make. So we could either hire someone full-time, or I could just come full-time. And I decided to leave my job as of April 1st of this year. So I've been doing this full-time specifically for 2 months, but I've been helping almost full-time, but part-time while working a full-time job since August. So, and that's where most people are. Most people are not looking to have a full blast income from eBay or like a full-time business or whatever. They just want something to tinker with. But there's really no limit to what someone can reach. It's really just whatever limit you impose on yourself with your ingenuity and how much work you're willing to put in. So, yeah.
Yeah, a couple things I wanted to touch on real quick earlier, because you said you guys mainly your bread and butter items are video games, but you also will sell CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, other media items as well. Because I talk about on my stream a lot that if you look online, you can get bulk deals. Like if you go on eBay right now, you can probably buy, let's say, 400 CDs that are new in the shrink wrap for $189 for $200 with free shipping to your door. So essentially, when your buy cost is 40 to 50 cents an item, and you get to the point where you have 400 of them, 500, 1,000 at your door. Let's say you ordered 1,000 of them for $400, and your buy cost is 40 cents a piece. You would essentially, let's say, all of them are brand new in the shrink wrap, and you bought 1,000 of them, and let's say you sold them for at least $10 a piece because they're still new in the shrink wrap. You should be able to turn your $400 investment into like $10,000 worth of merchandise. So when he's saying, hey, we have over $150,000 worth of equity of merchandise in your business, that's how you can scale and grow your business up. Instead of going to a yard sale or a thrift store and you're like, hey, I came home with 5 items, and maybe you got $50 or $100 worth of merchandise, but it wasn't like $10,000 worth of merchandise. And earlier you said that that you guys also will buy big bulk lots of merchandise, but you said you yourself listed 100 items today. So I want to talk about that because I get messages from people and they're like, you can't list 100 items. I'm like, bro, I list like 200 items a day sometimes. Because if you have items and they have barcodes, it goes by very quick, very easy. I have some, I have a pile of them right here I could grab. But I mean, it's very easy when you scan a barcode, you pull up the item, and then you take a picture front and back and you hit sell similar. It doesn't take very long to list 100 items in a day. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because when I say that, people look at me like I'm a man from Martian or something, like I'm from like another planet. So talk to me a little bit about how you can list 100 items in a day.
Yeah,
Maybe you can help out some of the people in the chat or help some people out that's watching the replay.
Sure. Someone in the chat asked a question just earlier, or they made a statement. I'm kind of lost in the chat right now, but so it said that the person said you can't just source, you also have to list. So here's the thing. If you buy more than what you can list, whatever's not listed will not sell. So I have like $5,000 of DVDs on my kitchen floor that is not going to sell until I put it in the store. I am fully aware of this, and every day that I can, I'm picking at it. But until those are on the store, they're just going to sit there and look at me every day. So when it comes to listing, okay, I used to have a store a long, long time ago, like I said, when I was working for the nonprofit, and I filled in all the item specifics. I took as many pictures as I could. I put as much detail as I can. And like it could have taken me 20 minutes to do a listing back then. I might have had 50 or 100 listings at the time, and I would just buy stuff and just do whatever. But if your goal is to grow, you need to streamline the way that you list. So, you were talking about you listed a bunch of Blu-rays today. So there's certain things that are easier and quicker to list because you can use a template that you already have prepared, or you can do like us. And our template is basically just the last listing that we made because we just copy the same thing over and over. So we do sell similar. And all that you need to change is the title, the description of the item, and you find it in the catalog or whatever, or you say that you use the barcode or however you want to do it. But if I was sitting there for an hour and I had all my pictures taken already, I could probably list 25 to 30 DVDs, assuming I had no distractions. But I didn't start there. And when I first started, I could do 5 or 10 or whatever, but the more you do, the more you realize there's certain steps. You need to cut out all the steps that are not important. You need to, like for me now, it's like I click sell similar. It's like boom, 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 copy, paste, click, 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 change the price, good to go. And today I listed, my goal today really was to list like 120 CDs. I only listed 100, but that's because I only had about 4 to 5 hours of uninterrupted time. Other than that, I needed to go do a quick shipping run because someone bought something and they told me that it was their son's birthday, so we needed to ship it out as soon as possible and just whatever. And I got to go pick up that PlayStation 4, and there was other customer service stuff that I needed to do. So I didn't get to list all day. But if I did, I could have probably listed 150 or maybe more. But it's some things are easier to list than others. So like clothing, for example, you can't list 150 because you need to take so many pictures and you need to measure things and do whatever. So you just need to know your product and know yourself. So if right now you're listing 10 items an hour, or let's say 5 items an hour of whatever item you're selling, try to get to 10. Write out what your steps are and think about what could I do faster? What is really important right now? Could I copy paste this? Could I are certain things coming over and over and over and over and over? Am I typing them up when I could copy paste them? Like there's so much that can be streamlined to save time, because time is money. And I mean, you need to be able to list as fast as possible. Obviously, condition needs to be detailed and the pictures need to be good and all that stuff. But there's like a happy middle of, you don't need to be, if you're a perfectionist, that's something you need to work on, because there's like a happy middle where, okay, it's not perfect, but it's good enough that, oh yeah, anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say, guys, if you try to list items that are like items and you do it together, let's say if you're listing video games, list the video games. If you're listing Blu-rays or whatever it is, or CDs, if they're all like items, then what I'll do is I'll put them in batches. Maybe I'll have 5 stacks of 10 ready to go. I'll have a stack of 10, stack of 10, stack of 10, stack of 10, stack of 10. And then I'll go through my stack of 10. And then maybe, I'll get up and take a break or something. And I'll come back and list 10 more items. But anyways, the idea is you're listing like items. So it's not like I don't have a hat, a T-shirt, a pair of blue jeans, CD, DVD, video game. They're all like items. So when you sit down to list, they're in like a neat little pile, and then they're already ready to go. And then you can just crank out your listings pretty quickly. Like I said, most of the listings I sell are media items, so it's very simple and easy for me, especially if they're already brand new in the shrink wrap. All I got to do is scan the barcode. It's going to pull up the listing for me. I can click sell similar, and either their box art is up there, or I just take a picture front and back, and then boom, you're on to the next item. So you got to be able to get those listings cranked out. Let me say hello to a few people in the chat. Wanted to say hey to Jim's Closet Gems. Aqua Girl is here in the chat hanging out with us. The Flippin' Sports Guy is here. Naoma Fines is in the chat hanging out with us. And I wanted to say hey to Dawn, and the Frugal Peanut Reseller is here hanging out with us. So talk to me a little bit about, so we talked about sourcing today. We talked about listing. Do you have any tips or tricks you can share with us about shipping? Because, for you, you're sitting down like, hey, I had 80 plus items that I have to ship out today. So Talk to me a little bit about that, because I know that's got to be real fun. You're having to go pull all these orders. You got to find all the orders, pull them, box them, ship them, put shipping labels on it. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, there's a lot more than people think. But so I just want to piggyback on what you just said. And I totally agree with what you just said, where bundle up your items together. If you have 20 games and 20 CDs and 20 whatever and 20 whatever else, do them 20 at a time. Don't do one of each, and just do all your items that are the same. It'll go a lot faster. So yeah, no, that was a good point. And I just want to answer, Don asked, do you use any listing software or straight listing on eBay? Honestly, we don't use any software at all right now. And some people may have opinions about that, but we just straight up use what comes with eBay. We just do straight up listings. Yeah, and it works for us. We've looked at different options, but nothing caught our eye. And we do all the listing ourselves. We don't pay for a service. We have an employee and whatever, but we don't pay for a listing service. It's just not cost effective for what we have. So for the shipping, there's a lot to be said there. So the first part is you need to, once everything is listed, it needs to be as organized as possible. You need to be able to organize your things without it taking you a long time to organize it, and that once it's organized, so it doesn't take you a long time to go get it once it sells. So we have most of our stuff in alphabetical order, depending on what it is. And so we have like a wall of Xbox 360 games, and like all the similar categories are all together. And so that when we go to pick an item, 90% of the time it goes smoothly. But sometimes, I have items at my place, Jeremy has items at his place, whatever, stuff happens. But most of the time it's all in the one spot and everything goes smoothly. But when it comes to shipping, we ship a lot of different kinds of items. Some items are fragile, some items are not. Some items are small, some items are big. So we have like a corner that's just like a graveyard of boxes where you need to go picking through depending on the item that you have. But we also use two like standard sizes for us of boxes that we actually get at Staples. So when you have a store subscription with eBay, I think every 3 months you get a coupon for free supplies. And a lot of people don't know that and don't even use their coupon. I think it's $50 worth of supplies.
Yeah.
And so you can get, so with that, we get large envelopes, padded envelopes, bubble mailers, we get boxes. They have different kits that you can choose from. So we use those. And for a long time, we would buy all the boxes that we would need. So we would buy additional ones from those people. But like from eBay or whatever, those people. But we quickly realized that, I mean, we could afford it, but it was kind of expensive just to have the nice eBay logo on it. So right now we're getting all our boxes at Staples. And it's about half the price of what it would cost us with the eBay logo. So if a box used to cost us, I want to say $2.50 for like a decent sized box, it might be $1 now or $1.25. And we have two different sizes. And I mean, we're testing different sizes. So we sell as a, like, all of our video games go in envelopes, like padded envelopes or just poly mailers if they're sturdy or whatever, unless it's an expensive game, and then we'll ship it like in a box for it to be safe or whatever. But we also sell controllers, we sell random accessories, we'll, you know, whatever doesn't fit, maybe something that's like this big that wouldn't fit in an envelope, we'll put in a box. So we have boxes that are, I think 6 by 6 by 6, or it might be 8 by 8 by 8 inches or something like that, so that you can fit a decent size of things and it would be protected in there. But at the same time, you don't want the box to be too big so that your stuff is wobbling around in there. So it kind of takes some trial and error to get the right size of the box. And we also have another standard size box that's bigger than that. And I don't remember the measurements, but it's big enough to fit a console and all the accessories that we'd sell with it. But other than that, so for smaller resellers or newer resellers, you can get boxes for free almost anywhere. So we get a lot of our boxes from stuff that we buy. So if you buy, I mean, if you buy diapers or pancakes or just whatever, save those boxes and ship out in those boxes. Now, if you have like a weird box, I would recommend you wrap it in like brown packing paper. But if the box is just nondescript, you can just straight up use those boxes. Ask your family for boxes, but you can go to liquor stores and get boxes. They'll have mountains of boxes they can give away for free. You can go to grocery stores and get boxes. So, I mean, we don't really do that anymore because we just don't have the time. But at one point, we would go get boxes at different places. And now we have several people who are just dumping boxes on us now. So we get a lot of our boxes for free. But we also use certain sizes of boxes that we know we use day in and day out. And it's really important to get your shipping supplies as cheaply as possible. So we also started, we use bubble wrap as well. And I know that you can also get free bubble wrap sometimes at furniture stores. But again, we just buy ours. We get it shipped directly to our door from Staples. We get the big bulk thing. And what else? There's something else that I wanted to say, but I forget. So, oh yeah. So, and like bubble mailers, we buy ours in bulks, in packs of 100, on Amazon. And I want to say we maybe pay 35 cents each, maybe 40 cents each Canadian. So it would be even less for Americans.
Right.
But be smart with your costs. That is a big part of it, because it's not just buying your item for as cheap as possible and selling it for as much as possible, because you have all the costs in between that you need to work out as well.
Yeah. I usually just use my coupon code I get from eBay every 3 months, every quarter, and I go get the 6x9 padded envelopes. Usually 95% of everything that I ship fits inside one of those padded envelopes, and you know, it's a no-brainer. You know, it's just a padded envelope. You drop it in there, put your shipping label on it, and it's out the door. we gotta say say hello to a few people in the chat. The
Yeah.
Flippin' Sports guy is here. Philly Flipper is here. Says this interview is sponsored by Staples. We have Health and Money just stopped by. Says hey y'all. I wanted to say hey to Aqua Girl. Naoma Fines is in the chat. Philly Flipper says, does the Canadian Post Office give you free boxes? Do you get free
No,
boxes in the
no.
post office
You
or
know
no?
what? The Canadian Post Office doesn't give you free anything. Everything is expensive at the Canadian Post Office. A box, yo, the boxes at the Canadian Post Office are the most expensive boxes I've seen in my life. It's like $6 or $7 a box. It's disgusting.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard you on the other live stream the other day. It said that your post office up in Canada will charge you like $15 just to get like tracking. Like in here in the States, if we ship something all first class, we get tracking automatically. But they charge you like $15 at the post office there to track items, right?
Yeah. So the short version of how it works is that anything that fits in like the mailbox slot, which is exactly 2 centimeters, you can ship letter mail, which is, depending on the weight, is usually about $3, $2 to $3, sometimes more. And it's more if we ship to the States, but just in general, it's about $3. Anything that does not fit in, like anything that's bigger than 2 centimeters, like wider than 2 centimeters, becomes a parcel and automatically shoots up in price from $3 to about $15. And there's never, ever, ever any tracking on letter mail on the small stuff. But yeah, so minimum $14, like 14, 15 basically for tracking. It's a lot. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that. And a lot of our American buyers will ask us for tracking, but it's like, man, you paid $2 for this and it would cost $15 for this $5 game for us to track it. So that is just, that's just not an option. But there's certain things that you guys have a big advantage as far as shipping goes. There's some things that you don't, but I mean, whatever. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, I wanted to say hey to Urban Foster. Says, hey, I'm watching from Australia while I'm listening to DVDs. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. We appreciate you, Urban Foster. We have a question here from Flipping It Good. He wants to know, do you cross-list on other platforms or do you only sell on eBay?
So we do not cross-list right now because, and I mean, different people have different, points of view on this, but we want to eventually. But right now, we're really mastering the one thing. So right now, we don't, but we will eventually. We like the stuff that doesn't sell. This like old stock, we start listing it like on Facebook and on local classifieds just to kind of move stock for cheap. But we don't systematically cross list right now, for different reasons. But one of the main reasons is that we are very familiar with eBay and we're not familiar at all with these other platforms. And I do want to say also that Facebook Marketplace in Canada is not the same as what you guys would have in the States. We don't have that shipping option. Like there's no payment processing in it. It's just kind of like a newspaper. You can just put your ads and then you communicate and that's it. So it's there's certain things that you have in the States that we don't have here as well. But I mean, I see the appeal in the cross listing, but we don't.
Yeah, we got a question from the chat. Says, are you French or Israeli background? So we got to figure this out. I got to get to the bottom of this.
That is a random question. So I'm French. My name is Jean-Francois. I've never been asked if I have an Israeli background, but maybe it's just lighting in here. I don't know. I'm French. Yeah, I mean, I'm from so New Brunswick, where we're from, is the only bilingual province in Canada. So it's almost 50-50. Yeah.
So are you bilingual? Can you speak French and English? Okay. Okay,
French
good.
is my first language.
Okay, yeah. Well, if you start speaking French, nobody in the chat's going to understand what you're saying. So let's just keep it. Let's just keep it English for now. We got a question from Urban Foster. Says, "Hey, I missed the start. Sorry. I don't know if you answered this already. Are you a full-time reseller?"
Yeah. So I was part-time. I was working a full-time job and reselling part-time up until April, and at April I started full-time.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Now I got a couple questions I want to hit you with real quick. Now, you have an employee. What exactly does your employee do? Do they take photographs? Do they list the items for you? What do? They just list. That's it.
Straight up listing. He is excellent. He's fantastic at it. So if ever he watches the stream, man, you're doing a great job. So we just give him a box of stuff, and he brings it back to us listed. It's fantastic.
Okay,
so,
now how much do you pay your employee piecework? Or you pay them per hour? And how do you know when it's okay to hire an employee? Like, how do you know when you're generating enough revenue to hire your first employee versus to kind of bootstrap it and do it all by yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we pay him hourly. It would probably cost us more if we paid him per item because he's really good at it, actually. So maybe I don't want him to watch the stream. I don't know. But so that's a really good question. I think people need to come to terms with the fact that this takes work. And you need to be comfortable with putting that work in. But you also have to be aware that you can only do so much. So the short version, I would say, is that get to the point where you can't do everything by yourself, but make sure that you understand how everything works. So make sure you understand the sourcing and the listing and the selling and the customer service and, you know, what is going to work for you, what is not going to work for you. Because an employee, so we have an exceptional employee, but most employees are not going to be as good as he is. And you have to assume that the quality of the work is not going to be quite as good as if you did it yourself. But basically the two things that are the easiest to outsource is the listing and the shipping. Because, I mean, anyone can take an envelope and put a DVD in it and just kind of, you know, tape the address and whatever. You need to make, I mean, you know what I'm saying. But you have to be honest with yourself. Like, are you generating enough revenue to pay this person? And I would suggest you find someone who's willing to be casual and part-time. Start them with however many hours you feel you can swing, whether that's 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week, and you can work up from there. So that's basically what we're doing with him. And, you know, in the future, we're going to have room for a full-time employee probably by the end of the year. And maybe we just have a few part-time employees instead, just to kind of have that rotation or whatever. I mean, it just depends. But start where you are. So you do everything that you can first. And when you have enough money coming in, I mean, if you pay someone, I'll just put a number out there. I mean, I don't know wherever you guys are from. I don't, minimum wage is different everywhere or what's considered reasonable. But let's just say $10, $15 an hour, right? So in 10 hours of work, let's say you're paying this person $150, $15 an hour, for example. So that would be $150 a week in a 10-hour work week. Someone who gets really good at listing should be able to list 15 to 20 items an hour. So let's just call that 150 items that this person listed. So you have to figure out, if you would list those items, how much money would be left in your pocket? So, and then after, would you have enough money to pay this person after that? If you do, then it's a no-brainer to hire this person and get him to do some work for you. But you need to make sure the numbers add up first. Don't hire someone before you know what you can afford. Okay,
cool. We got a question here from Urban Frost Sicker. Says, how did you find the transition from having a full-time regular job to being a full-time reseller? So we touched on that a little bit earlier. So how was it for you transitioning from, you know, and having a certain time you had to clock in the morning, you got off from work at a certain time, to now kind of, you know, making your own schedule and now being a full-time reseller? How has that been from you, and how has that transition? Was it easy? Because you said you had experience doing reselling on eBay in the past.
Yeah, so if I'm being honest, it was a little brutal at first, because when I was helping part-time, I was mostly doing listings. I would just list all the time. And now I need to deal with returns, and we have so we have about 200 transactions a week. We get like 40 messages a day. It's a lot to handle. And I wasn't really mentally prepared honestly, if I'm being honest, I wasn't as prepared as I thought for the workload. Like the workload is incredible when you have a big store like we do. And so my full-time job, I was one of the top salesmen in the company. So I was paid commission. So the short version is I could get paid a lot with not that much work, if I can say it that way. But I knew I had a routine. I had a routine, and I'd been doing it for 10 years and all that stuff. So everything changed when I went full time, in the sense that now, like, if we get a cancellation, that's my bottom line that's hurt. It's not the bottom line of a company that really doesn't matter to me, right? It's me, and that's my money that's flying away. So the pressure for me was a lot bigger than I expected. I've made my peace with it now. Like I'm cool with it, but it's not always all as rosy as we think. But I'm really glad that I'm not doing it alone. For me, I'm the type of person. I just punched my mic. I'm sorry if that made a big noise. I'm the type of person that I like to bounce ideas off of somebody. I like to have support. I like to brainstorm. I'm very social that way. And I would struggle if I would do this by myself, if I'm being honest. But a lot of people can. And I mean, I wouldn't. But, that's me. But I enjoy it, though. It's really good. It's just the amount of work was a lot bigger than I thought. Where I used to work, it was a very manageable and bite-sized work. And
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, so yeah, we do have flea markets in our area, but very small. We have a lot of things that we want to do. We just only have so much time. So for us, our schedule. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do mostly listing, or sorry, we do shipping all morning, and then we do whatever listing that we can. And then Tuesday and Thursday, we do hundreds and hundreds of listings. So I'll do 100 to 150 listings. Jeremy will do 100 to 150 listings. And then our employee is going to fill in the blanks, because you always need a rotation going. Because when you're sleeping, there's stuff that's going out the door. There's stuff that's selling, and you need to replace that stuff too.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. We have a question from Aqua Girl. Says, "Hey, I came in late. I want to know if says, where do you source in your area?" So we touched on that a little bit earlier. Where are some of the places that you go sourcing at to get inventory to resell for your eBay store?
Yeah, so we use Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace for the vast majority of our deals. So, I mean, you guys have Craigslist and you have different websites. So just whatever's abundantly available in your area, but we use those as opposed to flea markets and garage sales because they're a lot more predictable. And for us, garage sales, there's not as many, because there's not as much population. So it's still, there are people that do garage sales and do all that. But in the time that a person would source 10 garage sales, maybe we can do the same amount of sourcing in 10 minutes by just being like going through ads and be like, I want that, I want that, I want this, boom, 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 done deal. But in garage sales, you get everything cheaper. That's the thing. So we do have suppliers as well, like I said earlier. So we've got people that contact us when they have big deals, and we have negotiated with some local shops. Some really, when we go, we buy like 300, 400, 500 items. And really, it's so funny. This is one of my favorite stories to tell. But so we went to a local game shop, and I was like, okay, if I buy everything on this shelf, would you make me a good deal? And the guy, it just blew this guy's mind. He's like, yes. So we like to go see this guy and go buy, whatever we can from him. And I've been trying to negotiate with other businesses, because at the end of the day, we're all the same community. So all the money, everyone that buys from us, the money stays here. The money stays in our community. And so we're trying to stimulate the local economy, because old school businesses are really struggling. Like Not all of them, but it's a lot harder now that people don't go out as much and with COVID and whatever. But yeah, so we source almost everything locally.
Yeah, and it's what he's saying is if you guys go in and buy stuff in bulk, you can get a better deal. It's the same way at yard sales. You know, when you go to yard sale, instead of getting one or two items, you make a big pile and say, now I've got, 20 items in a big pile, and maybe they'll say $10 for all of it, as opposed to coming up with there with two items and say, hey, I have these two items I want to buy, and they say, oh, okay, $10 for those two items. When you buy stuff in bulk. Aqua Girl has a quick question. Says, hey, do you source from the States, or is the delivery cost prohibitive? So is it too expensive, or do you do sourcing from the States as well?
Okay, so that's a really good question. It is more expensive to ship from the States. I think we have done it, but it's not. So there's so much, even in a small area like us, there's so much stuff available that it just blows my mind. We're not anywhere near being capped out already. So eBay Addicts mentioned that you can get really awesome deals even just on eBay and getting bulk stuff shipped to you. That's something we have on the shelf just waiting for when we hit that day that we can't source locally everything that we need. But there's some things that are really easy, even cross-border. So those would be card collections because they're really small. They're not heavy. A handful of games. But if anytime you're talking like a big box, it's expensive. And depending on the border situation, there can be customs fees. And we are in a province that has really terrible tax stuff. So our customs would be like an extra 15%. So it's pretty significant. But it would be an option. We just aren't really looking right now because we can find everything that we need locally.
All right, cool. Now, if I was interested in growing my business, let's say I have a small store, I have 100, 200 items, and I want to grow to have a large store and have 10,000 items in my eBay store, what would be like your top 3 tips you would have for this person, or just tips in general? If someone is a part-time reseller or they wanted this to be their full-time income, what would be like top 3 tips that you would give this person?
Be a nice person. No, I'm just kidding.
Here we go.
Yeah. Set your goals for one, and don't go from 200 to 10,000. That's unrealistic. So set realistic goals. Set goals that will stretch you, but that are achievable, right? So if you're someone who's at 200, aim for 500 or maybe 1,000 or whatever. By the end of the year, totally doable. And discipline would be discipline and learning. So goals, discipline, and learning, I guess, would be the 3 things that I would say. So the only way to grow your store is to do the right things over and over and over and over. So now you need to learn, what are those right things? What kind of things do I need to be buying? What price do I need to buy them at? How much can I sell them for? How much profit do I make? What supplies do I need? All these things. So assuming you have all the basics lined up, it really just is scheduling the time. I'm a very organized person when it comes to time. And if it's not on my schedule, it doesn't get done. So most sellers are part-time sellers because they have a full-time job. So if you're someone who is checked out until 5 o'clock of the day because you're working, and that's probably most of you right now, you need to carve out some time out of your day to be able to, that's the only way, is to be able to put time in your business, in the store. So whether that's 1 hour of listening in the morning or 1 hour in the evening, just find out. You just need to figure out these numbers. How many items can you list in an hour? How many hours is it going to take you to get to 1,000, assuming stuff is also going to sell? And just kind of think it through. But set your goals, and learn all the things that you need to know. And you can learn some of those things by listening to streams like this. You can search specific things in Google's, whether by video, or some people learn better just by reading. We didn't start where we are. We started way smaller, but we learned every step of the way. Every day we're listening to stuff. Jeremy and I are bouncing ideas every day. You have, like, for every idea that we go with, there's 20 ideas that are shelved. And it's just what makes the most sense right now. And you don't act busy. Don't pretend you're busy. Just do the things that will move the needle the most, and do them over and over and over.
Yeah. All right. Now, you talked earlier, you said that you want to double your sales by the busy season, which would be the fourth quarter. What is your, like, how do you guys plan on ramping up your sales between now and Christmas? Like, what are you guys, obviously, you're going to be listing more items, but what are some other things that you guys are going to be doing to increase your sales?
Yeah, well, it's very simple. So, I mean, so sales went down because of the summer, and it's not because we're doing anything wrong. So up until March, we were selling about 6, 7, 8,000 of merchandise every week, and now we bottomed out at about 4,000, but right now we're at about 5,000, which might sound like a lot, and it is a lot. But we were doing 8, so it's a lot less than what we used to make. And it's crazy because it's less than what we used to make, but we have so much more value in the store than we used to have. So all that to say, the summer slowdown is a real thing. But for us, we're just going to keep doing the same things that we've been doing. We're going to be listing more. We're going to be sourcing the best that we can. And so now, we used to buy a lot more than what we could list. And we had a crazy, like the death pile, the pile of stuff that didn't get listed was just mind blowing. But now we're always reducing. Every week, our death pile goes down. So if we hit a wall that we can't list everything, we just stop buying. We just, like, we need to keep up with the listing. But some things that we have started, right when the summer slowdown kind of hit, we kind of panicked a little bit, but then we're like, okay, what are things that we can do? So I wish I could remember which YouTuber gave us this idea, but I cannot take credit for this, but I will share it with you. We used to not do any promoted listings at all. Zero, nothing. And we started tinkering with it, and we got a lot more sales. But interestingly enough, it would almost exclusively be old stuff, like the stuff that's just been sitting there for months, which is awesome. But that's something that you could play with, but you need to understand your profit margins. So don't necessarily go with what eBay suggests, because there's some categories that eBay suggests that you pay them 75% in fees. Like, that's nuts. But there's a YouTuber that suggested you put your whole store on 1% of promoted listings. So what that means is every time you sell an item, you're going to pay 1% to eBay, but they're going to be giving you preferential ranking in the search. Everyone can afford 1%. And if you can't, you need to readjust your pricing. But even 1%. So right now, all of our store is on promoted listing, everything. And on at least, there's about half of it that's like between 2 and 4%, depending on the category. But everything else is 1%. And even the 1% sells faster than it used to. And if there's one thing I can say, that would be that. Other than that, the more you list, the more you sell. So if you're sitting on a pile of stuff that's not listed, stop buying and just keep listing until that pile is done, because that's how you grow. So we started with 3,000. We bought 3,000 of stuff. We listed 3,000 of stuff. That 3 became 6. Then we bought 6,000 of stuff. We listed that. And then we sold 6,000 of stuff. And that's 6 between 12 and blah, 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 blah. So now we're at 150. So you need to multiply it. But what's not listed will not sell. So you need to list it.
Right. So you got to reinvest your capital, and you just got to list more items. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Urban Foster says, I do want to cross my entire eBay store. I do as well. BK from the Rockies is here. He says, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Naomi Finds is here in the chat, says, I'm in my busy period because I list heavy Halloween costumes. Urban Foster says, JF, you are a great guest. And I
Thank
wanted to
you.
say hey to Aqua Girl, and I wanted to say hey to Keith that's here in the chat. So hey man, we streamed for over an hour a day. So tell everybody where they can check you out at on YouTube and Instagram, so they can go follow you and check you out.
Yeah, sure. So I think Jeff has my links in the description, but basically we have a small YouTube channel where I do relatively regular updates on what goes on. So you can just search for Resale Heroes and we'll pop up. We're also on Instagram where you can ask us your questions or just kind of comment, and you can see what we're working on every day, what sells, what goes out the door, what cool deals we got and whatever. But those are basically the two ways that you can do that. And I mean, if you want to come buy something on a store, knock yourselves out. But if you just want to hang out, you can do so on the YouTube channel and or the Instagram.
All right, awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us. Give me your final thoughts, and then we'll let you go. And hopefully, we'll have you back on again sometime.
Yeah, final thoughts. Man, there's just so much going through my mind. But you guys had great questions, and I'm having a great time. I'm really warm right now because it's so hot outside, and I had to turn off my AC because it's so noisy. But don't give up on yourself. It's going to be deep. This is going to be deep. All right. So give yourself a goal. And okay, so there's a online motivator that I really appreciate. His name is Brendan Burchard. So Brendan, I'll just type it in the chat right now. Brendan Burchard. So Brendan, he talks about different things, but he talks about being motivated and setting goals and whatever. But one of his most popular online courses is about setting goals. And essentially, he says when you have a goal, you set your goal and then you reverse engineer everything you need to get to that goal. And one of the things that you need to do is to learn. So you can either ask someone who's in that same industry as you, like me or Jeff, and learn from them, or you can read, or you can watch videos or whatever. But you need to set the steps. Don't just be like, I want to get to 1,000 listings. Because and not do anything and not plan. If you don't have a plan, it's not a goal. It's just a dream. It's just a thought. Yeah. So give yourselves some concrete steps and just do them. Don't make it complicated. Just a few steps. You know, whether that is I want to list an extra 20 items a week for the next 6 months, and if I do that, that will bring me to my 1,000, and that will have quadrupled the size of my store. That's a legit goal. And I mean, whether it's 20 or 10 or 100 items or whatever. So our goal was to reach 150,000 by the end of June. And so we're already there. We're already past it. But we didn't get there by magic or by chance. It was just listing, list. Yeah. And just figure out what you need to do and get there. It's that simple. If I can do it, if Jeff can do it, anyone can do it. You just need to take the time and to have that discipline to do what needs to be done.
Yeah, I'm kind of a night person myself, so I try to go in my room, shut the door at midnight or whatever, get in my little zone, turn the music on, and just crank out some listings. That's when I do most of my work is at night. So anyways, guys, yeah, what I was going to say is that when someone wants to be successful and you give yourself a goal, it's not like hockey and it goes straight up. Usually it's here and then squiggly lines, boom, 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 and then you might slowly go up and then plateau, go down, and then hit your goal. It does not hockey stick straight up. So you're going to hit it, it'll be like a pinball being bounced around a little bit. It doesn't just go from point A to point B. So you're going to encounter some issues along the lines. Anyways, I wanted to say hey to Sal is in the chat. He says, I appreciate the conversation. Urban Foster said they're going to come back and rewatch the stream. So thank you guys for hanging out with us today. I will see you guys either tomorrow or Thursday. I'll have a guest on. So I'll see you in the next one. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you later. Bye, everybody.